When a member of Qatar's royal family walked into the State Department, nobody expected what would happen next. The offer they put on the table is sending shockwaves through Washington's power corridors. Why would one of the world's richest nations suddenly make this unprecedented move? Well, we've got some information that hints at something much bigger brewing beneath the surface. In the timing of the gesture, the specific details of what's being offered and who tried to keep it quiet, it all points to something that the Biden administration never wanted you to know about. So prepare to be stunned. And just like Qatar's pressure on global aviation, your blood pressure needs expert attention. But here's what the medical establishment isn't telling you about international travel and cardiovascular health. While elite diplomats and royal families use specialized supplements to maintain peak performance at 40,000 feet, everyday Americans have been kept in the dark until now. This breakthrough formula, the same one used by international flight crews, is finally available to the public. So don't let high-altitude travel compromise your health. Visit boostwithgary.com and get up to 40% off our diplomatic travel package. Let's get right into it. We got Tom McCullough on the ground at the White House with exclusive information about this gift that President Trump has been offered. But let's check in with the press secretary first.
Worked out, but the Qatari government has graciously offered to donate a plane to the Department of Defense. The legal details of that are still being worked out, but of course, any donation to this government is always done in full compliance with the law, and we commit ourselves to the utmost transparency, and we will continue to do that.
Do you worry that if they give us something like this, they want something in return?
Absolutely not, because they know President Trump and they know he only works with the interests of the American public in mind. The Qatari government has...
So let's dive into this here. Ed Krasenstein says, corruption in plain sight. President Trump is reportedly accepting a gift, a bribe of a super luxury Boeing 747-8 jumbo jet from the royal family. Check this out. So here's some, this is what it looks like. This is the jet. 747-8 from the, wow, it has 4,786 square feet. A massive jet. I guess these are some of the photographs from inside. I'm sure President Trump would love the opulence that this would provide. Let's keep taking a deeper look at what we have here. Okay, this is Trump confirms the DOD is receiving a super luxury Boeing 747-8 as a gift free of charge from the Qatari government to replace the aging Air Force One. Do we have any more pictures from this thing? It's in a $600 million Boeing 747 private jet. Trump's new gift is a fully loaded luxury model Bizliner jumbo jet. Cost $400 to $600 million, 186-foot long cabin, circular staircase, real marble floor, chandelier, 30-person lounge, all handcrafted seating.
Already massive. What you're looking at isn't just an airplane. It's 8,000 square feet of airborne luxury that burns through 13,000 gallons of fuel every hour. That's more fuel in one trip than your car will use in 10 years. So let's dive right into it. The cabin. The standard Boeing 747 is already massive, but these dimensions take on new meaning when you're not sharing with hundreds of other travelers. We're talking about a main cabin that stretches 186 feet in length, longer than the Wright brothers' first flight. The width spans 19 feet, and the ceiling height allows even NBA players to walk comfortably. As we enter, the first thing that strikes you is the grand entrance hall with 20-foot ceilings, featuring a sweeping circular staircase connecting the main deck to the upper level. The marble flooring, yes, real marble, specially treated to minimize weight, creates an immediate sense that you've entered somewhere special.
Let's take a look at Tom's report from the White House on this topic.
It's down much lower.
Hey guys, this is Tom McCullough reporting from the White House with the Next News Network. And guys, let's be real. Next News Network is one of the few places you can still get the truth. So here at the White House, in the press room, we're not afraid to call out the fake news peddled by the liberal media. They're going to twist anything to smear President Trump, but we're here to set the record straight with facts. And oh boy, we got a fun one today. So President Trump a man who's always putting America first, just scored a massive win for our country. The royal family of Qatar is stepping up to gift the Department of Defense a stunning Boeing 747-8 jumbo jet, and they're calling it a palace in the sky. This beauty is set to become the new Air Force One for Trump to use during his term, and it's worth a jaw-dropping $400 million. That's right, the most valuable gift ever given to the United States by a foreign government, and it's all thanks to Trump's incredible leadership. So now let's talk about why this matters. The current Air Force One planes are ancient, over 35 years old, creaking along since 1990. Boeing was supposed to deliver new ones years ago, but they've been dragging their feet, racking up billions of dollars in delays and cost overruns. Trump's had enough of their excuses, and he's not waiting around for Boeing to get their act together. Instead, he worked his magic with Qatar, securing this luxury jet to serve as Air Force One until Boeing finally delivers, maybe by 2027, if we're lucky. So let's hear from the man himself on this one. President Trump spoke about how disappointed he is with Boeing's delays, but he also praised Qatar for their generous contribution to our Defense Department. Go ahead and check this out.
Well, I think what happens with the plane is that, we're very disappointed that it's taking Boeing so long to build a new Air Force One. We have an Air Force One that's 40 years old. And if you take a look at that compared to the new plane of the equivalent, stature at the time, it's not even the same ballgame. You look at some of the Arab countries and the planes they have parked alongside of the United States of America plane. It's like from a different planet. And it's close to 40 years old, might be more than 40 years old now. And we, when I first came in, I signed an order to get it built. I took it over from the Obama administration. They had originally agreed. I got the price down much lower. And then when the election didn't exactly work out the way that it should have, a lot of work was not done on the plane because a lot of people didn't know. They made change orders that were so stupid, so ridiculous. And it ended up being a total mess, a real mess. And when I came back, I said, by the way, what's going on with the Boeings that are coming in? Well, sir, they're way behind. And they are. They're way behind. They were way behind. Another mess that I inherited from Biden. And it's going to be a while before we get them. And I think Qatar, who has really, we've helped them a lot over the years in terms of security and safety. I think they end very, very nicely. And I have a lot of respect for the leadership and for the leader, Qatar. And I think they knew about it because they buy Boeings. They buy a lot of Boeings. And they knew about it. And they said, we would like to do something. And if we can get a 747 as a contribution to our Defense Department to use during a couple of years while they're building the other ones, I think that was a very nice gesture. Now, I could be a stupid person and say, oh, no, we don't want a free plane. We give free things out. We'll take one, too. And it helps us out because, again, we're talking about we have 40-year-old aircraft. The money we spend, the maintenance we spend on those planes to keep them tippy-top is astronomical. You wouldn't even believe it. So I think it's a great gesture from Qatar. I appreciate it very much. I would never be one to turn down that kind of an offer. I mean, I could be a stupid person and say, no, we don't want a free, very expensive airplane. But I thought it was a great gesture. And I think it was a gesture because of the fact that we have helped and continue to, we will continue to, all of those countries, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Qatar, and others. We keep them safe. If it wasn't for us, they probably wouldn't exist right now. And I think this was just a gesture of good faith. And I don't get it. Someday it'll be like Ronald Reagan. They decommission them. They get to a certain age, they decommission them. It'll go to my library. They're talking about going to my library in years out. But I thought it was a great gesture. And it's something that was done by Ronald Reagan. They actually decommissioned the plane, and he put it in his library. And it actually has made the library, I think, a Boeing 707. It's actually made the library more successful, so it was good.
And there you have it. President Trump calling it like it is. He's not going to let Boeing's failure hold America back, and he's smart enough to accept a great deal when he sees one. Qatar's stepping up with a jet that's going to be retrofitted by the U.S. Air Force to meet all the security needs for a presidential plane, and I'm sure they're checking it for spy devices, too. That was my first concern. We're talking secure communications, top-notch defenses. It'll be ready to fly our commander-in-chief in style. But let's dig deeper into this amazing gift. This Boeing 747-8 isn't just any plane. It's a 13-year-old jet that Trump personally toured back in February at Palm Beach International Airport. It's been decked out with luxury features fit for royalty, which is why they call it a flying palace. After Trump's term, the plane will be handed over to the Trump Presidential Library Foundation no later than January 2029, so he can keep using it as a private citizen. And here's the best part. All the costs for the transfer and upgrades are being covered by the U.S. Air Force, not a dime from Trump's pocket. ABC News Live broke this story, highlighting just how historic this gift is for America. They spoke with experts about the ethical and security concern, but let's be honest, these are just the usual anti-Trump talking points from the left. Let's go ahead and check this out.
President Trump preparing for a major foreign trip, leaving tomorrow for crucial meetings in the Middle East. Hi, I'm Phil Lipoff. He will make stops in Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the UAE over the next several days, and notably no plans to visit Israel. The trade war, ongoing attacks in the Middle East, and peace talks in the Russia-Ukraine war are expected to dominate much of that discussion. And while in Qatar, sources tell ABC News, President Trump is expected to accept what's likely the most expensive gift a foreign government has ever given to a U.S. president, a super luxury Boeing 747-8 jumbo jet the president plans to use as the new Air Force One. Aviation experts say the plane is worth an estimated $400 million before the U.S. Air Force makes modifications that the president will need. Let's get right to ABC News senior White House correspondent Selena Wang and ABC News national security and defense analyst Mick Mulroy. Selena, I want to begin with you. What are President Trump's top priorities outside of the jet with this trip to the Middle East? And does this luxury plane from Qatar raise any red flags in Washington?
Yeah, well, first of all, the fact that the president is choosing Saudi Arabia as the first major foreign trip of his second term just signifies this growing political and economic relationship between the U.S. and Saudi Arabia under the Trump administration. You'll remember that Saudi Arabia was also where President Trump had chosen to take his first foreign trip in his first term, and he's once again breaking tradition by skipping over America's closest neighbors. Now, this does come as the Gulf has played a critical role in mediating conflicts around the world, including the war in Ukraine, with Saudi Arabia serving as a venue for separate U.S. talks with both Russia and Ukraine. This also comes as the Trump administration is trying to make progress when it comes to the humanitarian crisis and the war in Gaza. Now, when it comes to that luxury plane, it certainly raises questions about whether or not it's legal for the Trump administration and ultimately the Trump Presidential Library Foundation to accept such a valuable gift from a foreign power. But sources are telling us that both the White House and the Department of Justice have concluded that because the gift doesn't come with any conditions, it's not conditioned on any official act, they're considering that this does not constitute bribery.
So you see what I mean? The fake news crowd wants to make this a scandal, but they're missing the point. The White House and the Department of Justice already looked into this, and they said it's completely legal. The jet isn't a personal gift to Trump. It's going to the U.S. Air Force, then to the Presidential Library. No bribery, no corruption, just a smart move for America. But of course, you've got Democrats like Chuck Schumer crying about foreign influence. Where were they for Joe Biden? And Adam Schiff whining about the Constitution. Give me a break, guys. These are the same people who let Boeing waste billions of taxpayer dollars with nothing to show for it, and they were all silent during all of Joe Biden's corruption. Trump's frustration with Boeing isn't new, folks. Back in 2018, he signed a deal with them to deliver a new Air Force One plane by 2024, but they've nowhere close to being finished. The company's lost over $2 billion on this project, and now they're saying 2027 at the earliest. Trump even brought in Elon Musk to try and speed things up, but Boeing's still a mess. That's why Qatar deal is so brilliant. It's a temporary fix that doesn't cost the American taxpayers a penny. Now, some critics are trying to stir up drama, saying this violates the Constitution rules on foreign gifts. They're pointing to the emoluments clause, claiming Trump can't accept this jet without congressional approval. But here's the thing. The jet's not going to Trump personally. It's a gift to the United States government. Attorney General Pam Bondi and the White House lawyers have already cleared it, saying there's no issue here. This isn't about corruption. It's about Trump getting things done while the establishment sits on its hands, like they always do. So let's not forget the bigger picture. Trump's on his first foreign trip of his term, visiting Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE. He's building strong ties with our allies in the Middle East, and this jet is proof of that. Qatar's Ministry of Defense is working with our Pentagon to make this happen. And despite some back and forth, it's clear they want to honor America with this gesture. Trump's making sure our country gets the respect it deserves on the world stage. So, while the left keeps clutching their pearls, President Trump is delivering for America again. A shiny new Air Force One, a stronger Defense Department, and not a single taxpayer dollar wasted. That's the kind of leadership. Hey guys, this is Tom McCullough reporting from
That's the kind of leadership we voted for. Thanks for that report, Tom. Got some pictures of this this jet. Look at this. Okay, here's the picture of the jet. That's the exterior. Look at the interior. Absolutely stunning. Chandeliers in it. I mean, that's just over the top. Look at this lounge. My goodness. Here's some more pictures. Look at these. Oh, my goodness. Can you imagine? There's a staircase. Okay, and there you can see the comparison. Here's Air Force One, and this is the gifted jet. Wow. Crazy, man. Here's some more pictures. Look at the staircase. Is that that must be the bedroom? My goodness. And then we have this. Democrats like Representative Dan Goldman claim it violates the foreign emoluments clause, but ignores the deal's structure.
Force One, Congressman, apparently the U.S. and Qatar are working out the final details of a gift, a big gift, a giant luxury 747 aircraft that President Trump is reportedly going to accept, and the military is going to convert into being able to use as Air Force One, and then it may end up at the Trump Presidential Library after he leaves office. How do you feel about this gift?
That it is brazen corruption, a violation of the Constitution, the Foreign Emoluments Clause. It is a gift from a foreign government. That is expressly not permitted under the Constitution. And given that Donald Trump, as we know, is purely transactional, this gift, which ultimately will go to him, it's not for the United States, of course, curries favor with him. And perhaps there is not a specific official act that he has taken in return for that payment, such that our current state of public corruption law would not apply. And of course, he's immune because the Supreme Court has given him criminal immunity. But this is just the latest reflection of an egregious, corrupt presidency that is using the office of the presidency for his personal gain. This is the latest one, $400 million, $2 billion crypto deal where Donald Trump himself is prepped to make tens or hundreds of millions of dollars from it, from a foreign country-backed deal. This is beyond anything that we've ever seen. And the fact that, from my vantage point, John, as a former 10-year DOJ career prosecutor, to see that the Attorney General has signed off on this on one of the most pathetic and weak legal analyses I've ever seen, it just underscores how far down the Department of Justice has fallen, and how much in trouble we are that Donald Trump has really just remade our government for his own personal interest.
Maybe we should be looking into Dan Goldman and his ties to all of the witch hunts behind Trump. Right? Yeah. So let's just talk about this. The implications of this unprecedented move, they reach far beyond a simple diplomatic gesture. When a nation with this much global influence makes such a bold statement, we do have to ask ourselves what's really happening behind the scenes. The question every American should be asking right now is, why this specific gift? Why now? And what does Qatar expect in return? Apparently nothing. They claim it's a gesture of goodwill. Is there something more strategic at play? I don't know. Share your insights in the comments below. And while we're talking about luxury and power, why don't you head on over to the Next News Network shop at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com, link below, and show the world where you stand with the real news.